What's going on, guys? Sir Nerdzlot here, and today we're going to be looking at the Dualfeather archetype that I've created here on Dueling Book. I mentioned earlier this week that I would have this archetype up here. If you're following me on Instagram, you saw some previews on some of the cards in this deck. I did change some of the effects around and try to make them a little more fair, a little more useful. Also, still considering changing one particular card's effect. Might be broken, might not, but we'll see. So this is the Dualfeather archetype. I was trying to figure out some like punny, well, not necessarily punny, but like try to do a spin on the word duality or dual. Um, and this is kind of what I came up with. It's not really what I had in mind, but the idea of Dualfeather is that they are light and dark, and they are a winged beast archetype. It's inspired by both Raid Raptors and Samorg. Samorg is a wind and dark attribute archetype, and Raid Raptors are Xyz focused. So I went with light and dark instead, and we are Xyz focused down here. So let's get into the cards. So first card is Dualfeather Black Hummingbird. There are light and dark versions of each of the types of birds that I've gotten this archetype. So, Black Hummingbird, and then the other ones, light version. It is a level 4 winged beast effect monster, 0 attack, 1700 defense. All the dark ones have more defense than they do attack. During your main phase, you can make this card gain or lose 2 levels. That's built into all of the main deck Dualfeather monsters. And you'll see why in a little bit. If this card is special summoned with, we spell summoned with a capital U for some reason. If this card is special summoned by the effect of a light Dualfeather monster, your opponent cannot target Dualfeather monsters with the card effects for the rest of the turn. So that EHOPT stands for each hard once per turn. So that means each effect on this card is a hard once per turn. So you can only use both of those once per turn. Doesn't matter how many copies of the card you have. This is actually the card that I am thinking of possibly changing the effect. I thought that maybe the conditions of, sorry, I scrolled over a different one. Thought that maybe the conditions of having to be special summoned by the effect of a light Dualfeather specifically made it more justifiable, because there's only one light Dualfeather that is going to be able to do that in the whole archetype. So it has to be that specific card in order to get this effect from this level 4 monster, which by the way has 0 attack. So and then the increasing levels and decreasing levels, it's not, it's like inconsequential realistically. But yeah, that's the one that I'm thinking about changing. It's about the only one. Next card is Dualfeather Black Sparrow. So this is a level 4 dark winged beast monster. Again, 0 attack, 1400 defense. During your main phase, you can make this card gain or lose 2 levels. It's built into all of them, like I said. If you control a light Dualfeather monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, add 1 Dualfeather card from your deck, and it's at each hard once per turn. So yeah, it special summons itself, and then upon special summoning itself, you add 1 Dualfeather card from your deck to your hand. Very similar to Galaxy Soldier, except instead of pitching a card to do it, you have to control a light Dualfeather monster. So it still has a condition it has to meet. It's just, unlike Galaxy Soldier, it doesn't have a cost. So hopefully the condition kind of helps balance that. I don't know. I don't really see these cards as being too powerful. Just, interesting way to play an archetype. So moving on, we've got Dualfeather Bright Hummingbird. So you see this is the opposite of the very first card that we have, Black Hummingbird. This is Bright Hummingbird. It is a level 4 light winged beast monster, 1700 attack, 0 defense. During your main phase, You can make this card gain or lose 2 levels. All right, so that's gonna be the last time that I read that. Okay, which is dumb because there's only 1 card, but it's all good. If this card is normal or special summon, you can special summon 1 dual feather monster from your hand, each heart once per turn. So I thought about making that just if this card is normal summoned, but that makes the entire archetype almost reliant on that, so that you can have more than 1 dual feather exceeds monster on the field. So I just decided to make it normal or special, so you can monster reborn it and get the effect also. But it is a hard once per turn, so if it gets negated by any means, then you can't use it at all that turn anyway. Alright, next one is Dualfeather Bright Sparrow. So again, we've got the light version. Has the level increase. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add 1 dual feather monster from your deck to your hand. I didn't capitalize the D in that. It's fine. Very simple searcher. So you get Bright Hummingbird, then special summon Bright Sparrow, and you get a +1, which is nice. And then if you can special summon this if you've got it, which if you're doing that, you add the black one, then you special summon it, and you just keep comboing. The thing is, this deck is very susceptible to Nibiru, so I find that because Nibiru is a card, this is realistic so far, just these 4 monsters. Now of course you would play 3 of each, so that's 12 monsters right there. Then we'll go into the spells. Rank up magic feather duality. So I finally used the word duality like I wanted to. This card is always treated as a dual feather card, so it is searchable within the archetype. Target 1 dual feather exceeds monster you control. Exceed summon 1 monster with a different attribute, and that is 2 ranks higher than the targeted monster. If this card in your graveyard, or if this card is in your graveyard rather, you can shuffle this card into the deck. Shuffle this and 1 dual feather monster in your graveyard into the deck. Draw 1 card. So it's kind of like a Metalfoes fusion in a sense, but you're shuffling it and a monster back into the deck. So this deck has a longer game standing. It can grind out just a little bit. Alright, dual feather duality. I don't know why I did duality in both, but why not? This one has a bunch of effects, and it's it's kind of important, but the effects are just things you've seen before, to be honest. All dual feather monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects, so a little bit of protection there. During your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can move 1 dual feather monster to another monster zone. The reason that's there is because of the Xyz monsters, and I'll showcase that in just a minute. If this card is destroyed, you can special summon 1 Xyz monster from your graveyard, and each effect has a heart once per turn. So that last one actually doesn't specify archetype monsters. So as long as you've summoned an Xyz monster the right way, you've actually Xyz summoned them, you can use that effect and monster reborn them. Might go back and change that to do that, but they have their effects negated. I think that'd be a little bit more fair. But yeah, interesting card. Alright, now to the Xyz. So we're gonna start. Dang, why is it out of order? Let me see. That's so weird. Alright, so we're gonna start with the rank 2. So dual feather Bright Lania. So the main deck monsters can increase or decrease their levels. I just made it say gain or lower the levels to save some space. So they're all level 4, so they can either go down to level 2 or up to level 6, and that's the point of these Xyz having different ranks. So this one requires 2 level 2 dark monsters. I did this because there's nothing in the rules that say that Xyz monsters, their materials have to match what they are. This could have said 2 level 2 dragon monsters, and it would have been just fine. The point of Xyz monsters is that you're matching levels more than anything else. So 2 level 2 dark monsters, and this goes with the whole idea of the archetype being a duality. So you're summoning a light monster with 2 dark monsters as the materials. So that's the point in that. Just has one simple effect, quick effect. You can detach 1 Xyz material, destroy 1 card your opponent controls in a different column than this card. So we're playing with columns with these Xyz monsters, which is the reason why this moves, this right here, the continuous spell, moves your monsters. That way, let's say this is the column that my card is in right here, and I activate the effect, and they activate, I don't know, something else, like a continuous card or whatever over here. I can move it over there and pop that card instead. Um, and I think this is fair on a rank 2 that requires dark monsters specifically, because whatever column that card is in, you can't destroy a card in that same column. It actually does the opposite of like what the Mech Knight cards do, where they have their trap card, which negates the monster effects while there's a Mech Knight in that same column as that monster. This does the opposite. We work on the columns that the monster is not in. So that's what I went with there. So you're only destroying 1 card in a different column. So I think it's fine. I might even just specify monsters just to make it a little more fair, but it's really inconsequential. Here's the rank 4. So there's not 2 rank 2s or 2 rank 4s. There's just one of each. So this is your light one. This is your dark one. So light one has 2,000 attack, 1,000 defense. The dark one has 1,000 attack and 2,400 defense. So, and the dark one is a dark rank 4 wing beast. Stats I just mentioned. Requires 2 level 4 light monsters, and the effect is very simple. Quick effect: you can detach 1 Xyz material, destroy up to 2 spells or traps your opponent controls in different columns than this card. So again, different columns in this card. You can pop, whatever you want that's not in the same column as that card. So if you're playing something that's got like floodgates or whatever, you can make sure to summon this monster in a different column than whatever floodgate you want to pop, as well as be aware that you can move it like this. And there is a card called Column Switch that you can activate. I believe it's a quick play spell. Let me see. That might not be the name of it. Let me try. I might not know how to spell column. Let's see what we got here. Oh, 1L for column. I thought it had 2. Target 1 monster in your main monster zone. Move that target to another of your main monster zones. So this specifically says main monster zone. So this card can actually move your monsters out of the extra monster zone into a main monster zone. And if you need to move again, you just activate this. So it's something to consider if you want to play this. Right now, all of these cards are private. But yeah, so that's the effect there. Now going on to the rank 6, we've got Dualfeather Bright Hawk. It is a rank 6 light monster, wing beast, 2,600 attack, 1,000 defense. Requires 3 level 6 light monsters. Now the purpose of this is that if you're gonna like exceed this in another deck, or just even in this deck, and you're just gonna straight up exceed summon this monster rather than using a rank up spell, there's a reason why it's so strong. If you're gonna be using it outside of the archetype, it can't be targeted by card effects. You can detach 1 Xyz material. That's the cost. This card can attack twice this turn. Also, it gains 400 attack for each monster destroyed by this card this turn. So basically, you activate the effect, right? And then you attack over, a small monster. Okay, boom, it gains 400 attack. So now it's at 3,000. Okay, now you kill a little bit bigger monster. Okay, and now it's at 3,400, and that's permanent. So over time, this card becomes your OTK card. You're not gonna OTK in one turn. I actually had to reword the effect because uh, this section here, it just said it also gains 400 attack for each monster destroyed this turn. So I could have destroyed a monster with a card effect, or by attacking over with a different card, and this guy would just be building his attack up and then go for a double attack. Which it's an interesting there, but you can get this guy up to probably like 7,000 and then attack twice, which I don't think is too fair. Because you've got destruction effects in this archetype, and there's Raigeki is a thing, so that would increase its attack too. So I figured it would be better just to specify that this card has to destroy, and the only way this card can destroy monsters is by attacking. So I didn't throw that clause in there because it's not necessary. Last card is Dualfeather Blackhawk. So this is the opposite. So there's 2 rank 6s. We did opposites there. So this is Dark Wing Beast monster, 2600 defense, 1000 attack. 3 level 6 dark monsters. So these two, I did require the materials to be the same attribute just for the heck of it. Cannot be tributed or banished, so you can't kaiju it, and you can't Nibiru it, and you can't banish it with any card effects. Quick effect: you can detach 1 Xyz material, return all cards your opponent controls in a different column than this card to the hand. So the fact that this is not something that's going to be attacking, the main, really the only thing it's going to do is bounce all your opponent's cards back to their hand. That's all it's going to do, and it's all the cards in different columns. So that being said, if if they activate something in the same column as this, if they've got their impermanent set in the same column as this, I mean, there's no stopping that, really. I mean, realistically, if it was in a different column, there's no stopping it either unless you have the protection. But if there's something, you can't chain this to the activation of something in the same column because it's not going to get returned to the hand. So something to keep in mind if you decide to grab this. But yeah, that's it for the archetype. So the idea is to have a little bit of control and actually have enough damage to push through and kill your opponent. These are all the cards that I've made so far. I wanted it to work with some existing cards as well. I don't like making archetypes where it's only the cards that I made that you use and that's what makes them good and whatever. No, I want you to be able to play normal Yu-Gi-Oh with some cards that don't exist right now. Or some concepts that maybe haven't been tried out by Konami. That's all my custom cards are really about, and I try to keep them realistic. Some of them can be busted. Konami makes mistakes all the time, so why shouldn't I? I'm not a professional card maker, but I have learned over the past year or two how to make it more fair. So yeah, if you're interested in these, I am going to be tweaking them a little bit. I'll probably make them available to everybody here on Dueling Book by tomorrow. If you liked this video, please drop a like. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you can see more videos like this. I do custom cards. I do a little bit of like gameplay on actual video games, as well as I like to do some deck profiles of things that I'm thinking of cards that actually exist or will exist. For example, one card would be the Raid Raptor Link monster. That would actually go great with this deck. But I had the idea of mixing it and the Samorg Link within the same deck, and so I tried that out. Duels for that actually coming up. I had a hard time getting my replays to work well on Yugioh Pro, so those are coming. But yeah, so once again, if you guys like this video, please drop a like, please hit that subscribe button, comment, let me know what you think, give me some ideas, maybe some concept you'd like to see put into Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Make sure that you follow my Instagram, my Twitter. You'll see a lot of content on there. And until next time, I hope you guys have a great day.